Most people think a blackout is just bad luck. I learned that sometimes, someone causes it on purpose. It happened on a rainy Thursday night. I had just finished a long shift at work and couldn't wait to get home. My wife had been home alone all evening. As I pulled into the driveway, something felt wrong. The entire street had power. Every house was glowing. Except mine. My house was completely dark. At first, I thought it was a blown fuse. I grabbed my phone and walked toward the front door. That's when I noticed something strange. The electric meter had been opened. Several wires had been cut. Not by an animal. Not by the weather. By someone. A cold feeling rushed through my body. I immediately called my wife. She answered in a whisper. "Thank God you called. I think someone is inside." My heart stopped. I told her not to make a sound. She quietly said she had heard footsteps downstairs nearly 10 minutes earlier. She thought it was me. But then, someone tried opening the bedroom door. She locked it just in time. I wanted to run inside. But something held me back. If there were armed people inside, I'd be walking straight into their trap. I told her, "Hide. Right now." She crawled into the bedroom closet and turned her phone's brightness all the way down. I called 911. The operator told me to stay outside. Those next few minutes felt like hours. Then, a loud crash exploded from inside the house. The bedroom door had been kicked open. I could hear heavy footsteps upstairs. Furniture scraping across the floor. Someone was searching every room. I whispered my wife's name into the phone. No answer. Only silence. Then, a loud voice echoed through the house. "She's not here." There wasn't just one intruder. There were at least two, maybe more. I stood frozen outside, completely helpless. Then I heard something that still haunts me. The sound of a gun being cocked. Moments later, red and blue lights flooded the street. Police surrounded the house. The intruders ran toward the back door. One escaped over the fence. The other was caught after a short chase through the woods behind our neighborhood. When officers finally brought my wife outside, she was shaking so badly she could barely stand. She had stayed completely silent inside that tiny closet while strangers searched only a few feet away. The police later told us something terrifying. The power hadn't failed. It had been cut deliberately. The burglars wanted us trapped in the dark, unable to see them coming. We never spent another night in that house. Even today, whenever my lights flicker for just a second, I don't think about electricity anymore. I wonder, who's standing outside watching my home? Storms have a strange way of hiding secrets. This happened during one of the worst storms I have ever seen. My parents were out of town. I stayed alone in the basement because it felt cooler during the summer. Outside, the rain slammed against the windows. Thunder shook the entire house. Around midnight, the power suddenly went out. Everything became silent. No TV. No lights. No internet. Only the sound of heavy rain. I grabbed my phone and turned on the flashlight. That's when I heard it. Knock, a slow knock. Not on the front door. Not upstairs. It came from the basement storage room. I froze. There was no reason for anyone to be down there except me. I waited. Maybe I imagined it. Then, knock. Knock. Knock, 3 slow knocks. Closer this time. I felt my stomach twist. Trying to stay calm, I walked toward the storage room. The flashlight shook in my hand. The door was closed. But something was strange. It was moving, just a little. As if someone on the other side was gently pushing it. I whispered, "Hello." No answer. Only silence. Then, the doorknob slowly turned. I stepped back. The door opened a few inches. But no one came out. I pointed my flashlight inside. Old boxes, broken furniture. Nothing else. I laughed nervously. Maybe the wind had pushed it open. I closed the door again. Locked it. And walked away. Less than 30 seconds later, bang. The storage room door flew open by itself. This time, I heard footsteps. Heavy footsteps. Walking across the concrete floor. But I couldn't see anyone. Every hair on my body stood up. I ran upstairs and locked the basement door. Just then, my phone buzzed. It was my dad. I quickly answered. Before I could speak, he asked, "You're not in the basement, are you?" I said, "I just came upstairs." He went completely silent. Then he told me something I had never heard before. Years ago, before we bought the house, someone had broken into the basement during a storm and hidden there for hours without anyone knowing. My blood turned cold. At that exact moment, I heard the basement door handle move. Slowly. Someone was trying to open it. I called 911 with shaking hands. The operator told me to stay where I was. Minutes later, police arrived. They searched the entire house. Inside the storage room, they found fresh muddy footprints leading behind a stack of boxes. Behind those boxes, there was a small crawl space, just big enough for a person to hide. Whoever had been inside, had escaped before officers reached the basement. To this day, police never found out who it was. But I still remember one thing. Those footprints led into the crawl space. There were no footprints coming back out. Sometimes, the scariest thing isn't knowing someone was hiding in your basement. It's never knowing if they ever really left. People think the night shift is boring. They're wrong. Because some buildings should never be entered after dark. I worked as a security guard at an old warehouse on the edge of town. The place was massive. Hundreds of empty aisles. Rusty shelves. Broken lights. And silence that felt almost alive. Most nights were easy. Walk the building. Check every door. Go home. But one stormy night, everything changed. Rain hammered the metal roof. Thunder shook the entire warehouse. Just after midnight, the power went out. Emergency lights flickered on. The whole building turned blood red. My radio suddenly crackled. Then, nothing. Only static. I grabbed my flashlight and started my patrol. Halfway down aisle 7, I heard footsteps. Slow. Heavy. Not mine. I stopped walking. The footsteps stopped too. I called out, "Security. Is anyone there?" No answer. Just silence. Then, a whisper. So quiet, I almost missed it. It sounded like someone said, "Keep walking." My heart started racing. I swung my flashlight across the shelves. Nothing. Only endless darkness. I told myself it was the storm. But deep down, I knew someone else was inside. A few minutes later, I found a side door standing open. I had locked it less than an hour earlier. Rainwater covered the floor. Fresh muddy footprints led deeper into the warehouse. Someone had just walked in. I followed the tracks. Every step felt heavier than the last. Suddenly, my flashlight landed on a figure standing at the end of the aisle. Completely still. I shouted, "Don't move." The figure disappeared behind the shelves. I ran after it. When I reached the corner, no one was there. Then I heard metal crashing behind me. I turned around. 3 people stepped out of the darkness. Each one holding a crowbar. None of them spoke. They simply stared at me. Then, they started running. I ran the opposite way. My boots slammed against the concrete floor as they chased me through the endless warehouse. Every turn looked exactly the same. I was completely lost. Behind me, the sound of crowbars smashing against metal echoed through the building. One swing barely missed my shoulder. I reached the security office and slammed the steel door shut. The handle immediately started shaking. Someone was trying to force their way inside. I locked every bolt. Then grabbed the emergency phone. Police. Please hurry. The banging grew louder. The door bent inward with every hit. Then, sirens. Blue lights flashed through the warehouse windows. The banging stopped. Complete silence. Police searched the building. The 3 men were gone. But officers found fresh footprints, crowbars, and a backpack filled with burglary tools. One detective looked at me and quietly said, "They weren't hiding from you. You interrupted them." I still work security. But never in that warehouse.